The Collected Teachings of Luang Porchaya from the February 25, 2001 talk, The 8 Rules for Serious Meditators. Today I would first like to talk about the Guardian Meditations. We've already talked about loving kindness and the impurity of the body, so today I would like to talk briefly about the recollection of the special qualities of the Buddha and the reflection on death. Before we sit in meditation, we should reflect on the virtues of the Buddha, as he is regarded as our supreme teacher who showed us the way to liberation. We have 9 virtues of the Buddha to reflect upon. Reflection on these virtues will be great motivation for our work toward spiritual liberation, to become energetic and industrious. The Lord Buddha came from a royal family. Because of his great compassion for all beings, he sacrificed his kingdom, his beloved and dear ones, and he renounced the world in order to find the way leading to the end of suffering. He walked that path for 6 years. In contrast, it's hard for normal people to leave their house for the purpose of practicing meditation for even 1 day. They have no time to go for a meditation retreat. If you compare this to the Buddha, there's quite a distance between the two approaches. In walking the path, the Lord Buddha eradicated all mental defilements through his supreme enlightenment, and so he is worthy of respect. His mind was pure, all mental defilements were eradicated, and there was no more greed, hatred, jealousy, and so on. For normal people, on the other hand, when we see something we like, we attach to it, and greed arises. If we don't like something, we get angry, and hatred arises. If there's an indifferent object, then maybe delusion arises, but for the Buddha, there was no more greed, hatred, delusion, jealousy, and so forth. His mind was very pure. He was endowed with supreme knowledge and virtue after he became an enlightened one. He appeared as a supreme one in the world. We should recollect these special virtues of the Buddha before we sit in meditation. We should also follow his footprints. After we think about his virtues, we should follow his footprints in order to have a pure mind and overcome all kinds of suffering and mental defilements. The Buddha was the most industrious supreme one in the world. If you study his life, you'll know that. During his spiritual ministry of 45 years, he slept for 2 hours a day. Do you know that? Only 2 hours a 104. Just practice day. During the remaining hours, he conducted his spiritual duty for people all over the world, including men and gods, out of compassion. He untiringly led people to understand the law of nature, to realize the intrinsic nature of mind and matter, and finally, to realize the noble truths, to get rid of all kinds of mental defilement, to reach the cessation of suffering. When the Buddha would get up in the morning around 4 a.m., he would look all over the world and say, "Today, I have to go and teach this person to gain enlightenment." He knew that the person already had enough virtue perfection to be able to listen to his teaching and gain enlightenment. Then he took his alms bowl and went to that place to collect his alms food and teach the person. If someone asked a question, he explained to them until they realized the noble truths. After that, he returned to the monastery and took his lunch. After he finished lunch, he would teach the monks. Some of them would ask questions, and some requested meditation instruction. After all the monks received instruction from the Buddha, they went to practice meditation in the monastery, or maybe under a tree in the jungle. In the evening, about 3 or 4 p.m., all the devotees who were interested in the Buddha's teaching came to the temple to listen to the doctrine. The Buddha would teach them every day. Depending on their virtue perfection and their wisdom, he would give them instruction and teach them every aspect of the doctrine. And then most of them gained enlightenment. About 6 or 7 p.m., all of the lay devotees went back home, and then the monks would come to report their experiences during the whole day's meditation. Maybe some of them gained the first stage of enlightenment, or perhaps even the second stage of enlightenment, and they would report it to the Buddha. If they had any questions about, or any problems with, their meditation, they asked the Buddha. He explained to them and gave them direction, or corrected them until about 10 p.m. According to the stories, after 10 p.m., the angels would come to the Buddha to listen to the doctrine and ask questions. The Buddha would teach them until about 1 a.m. This didn't only happen to the Buddha. According to our experience in certain countries, some monks practiced meditation at the tops of mountains or in the jungle for many years and became very famous. And sometimes around midnight from far away, you can see a light come down around a mountain or the jungle. This means that an angel, a god, has come to listen to the Dhamma or pay respect to the monk. We believe that. So even a monk, some special holy person, the 105 the collected teachings of Luang Porchaya angels, will come to pay respect to them. In the same way, late every evening, angels and gods came to pay respect to the Buddha. In our chanting book, we have the Mangala Sutta, which talks about the 38 kinds of highest blessings. It's very interesting. This sutta refers to an occasion late one night when one of the gods came to the Buddha and asked him what the highest blessing was. No one knew the answer. Some people think that if they see something good, this is the highest blessing. Some say that what they wish to hear, if they can hear it, it's the highest blessing. Some think that. Or others think that if they want something with a good smell and they get it, this is the highest blessing. It depends on their thoughts. But for 12 years, no one knew exactly what the highest blessing really was. So one god came to ask the Buddha, and the Buddha explained the 38 highest blessings. And having done that, about 1 or 2 a.m., the Buddha would walk back and forth for a little exercise, because he'd sat the entire day and entire night. He'd practice this meditation for a while and then go to sleep for just about 2 hours. This is why the Lord Buddha is the most industrious Supreme One in the world. He worked so hard. Recollecting the Buddha's virtues will motivate you and increase your energy of practicing towards spiritual liberation. The Buddha is an example for us, and that's why the reflection on the virtues of the Buddha is recommended. This is one kind of guardian meditation. You can think about this for many hours, but we practice insight vipassana meditation, and so it's not necessary to reflect on these special qualities of the Buddha for an hour or two. Just briefly is okay. Another kind of guardian meditation is recollection of death. Death is certain. Life is uncertain. Death can be faced anytime, anywhere. We should not get caught up in sensual pleasures and forget about our spiritual development. Everything in the world, including our life, is impermanent. There's no one who can ensure that your properties will remain the same, or that you will be prosperous, or that you will not die until you are 100 years of age. We have no agreement with any supreme being that allows us to escape death. We don't know when we have to depart from this world. We are like cattle being led to slaughter. As a being moves toward death, in every moment, in every second, it gets closer. This means that our life becomes shorter and shorter every second of every day. Think about that. Sometimes we say, "Oh, today's my birthday. Happy birthday." It's not happy birthday, right? What does this mean? I don't agree with happy birthday. Your life has just gotten 1 year shorter. It's not happy birthday. 106. Just practice. A student interrupts with a comment. Q. I always tell people, happy birthday. Worldlings say happy birthday. I don't want to say that. But sometimes we have to follow society and its culture. It's just culture, right? It's not happy birthday. We should prepare to face whatever confronts us with regard to our health, life, business, family problems, and so on. We should be ready for it. For example, a businessman should have no thoughts that he will be successful forever. Sometimes we have to face loss. Gain and loss are natural. Unfortunately, his business may have a loss, but he will not have to suffer too much if he is used to thinking about this. Otherwise, he may have to go to a mental hospital. Or maybe he'll commit suicide because he lost his business, his family, or ends up with family problems. You see a lot of people who don't understand this, and they end up committing suicide or killing someone. We should think about this. For this reason, we should contemplate the impermanence of all conditioned things, including our lives. This impermanence and dissolution are realities that should be accepted. Accordingly, we should also think about the different kinds of insurances we buy. Nothing in our lives is sure. If our lives, our health, our belongings, and our material things, were permanent and not subject to dissolution, it would not be necessary at all to buy life insurance, health insurance, house insurance, car insurance, and so on. People just buy these things, but they don't ask, why do I have to buy this? Nothing in the future is sure. This is the nature of conditioned things. Anyhow, for us, now is the time to get ready for anything that might be happening in the near future. We don't have any vision of how long our life may be. Maybe 30 years, or 40, or 50, or 60 years. But no one knows. We don't have any vision about our lives. Eventually, after breathing in, there will be no breathing out. Or after breathing out, there will be no breathing in. We will die in that very moment. We can't foresee what kind of disease we'll have to suffer and will bring an end to our life. We have so many diseases in this world. How many kinds do you think there are? More than 1,000, I think. You can't even name them all, there are so many. We don't know how long we have to live. Even if we know that one day we will all die, we don't know at what age or what year it will happen. And we don't know what kind of diseases 107, the collected teachings of Luang Por Chaya, we will have to suffer through: heart attack, cancer, an accident. No one knows. Think about that. And we also don't know what time of day or night we'll die. In the morning, noon, in the evening, at night, or maybe at midnight. We don't know. We don't know whether our bodies will be cremated or buried after we die. And we also don't know where we'll have to be reborn. So you should remember these 5 kinds of things related to your death. 1, you don't know at what age you'll have to die. 2, you don't know what kind of disease you'll have to suffer through and die from. 3, you don't know what time of day or night, morning or evening, you will die. 4, you don't know whether your body will be cremated or buried. If you die in America, the dead body may be taken to China to be buried or cremated. Even if they cremate it in America, maybe they'll take the ashes to some other country to bury it. No one knows. And especially 5, you don't know where you'll have to be reborn. Do you know where you will be reborn as a human being in this human world? In heaven, in hell, or maybe in the animal kingdom? No one knows. Because of the uncertainty of our lives, we need to practice meditation until we gain enlightenment, at least to the stage of stream enterer, whereupon we're sure not to be reborn in a state of misery. Although you won't be sure what plane you'll be reborn into, at least you will not be reborn into a woeful state, a state of misery. This means you'll not be reborn as an animal, a ghost, a demon, or a hell being. You will be reborn as either a human being, an angel, or a Brahma. For this reason, practicing meditation is the best way to escape both mental and physical suffering, from this moment to forever. When you practice meditation for 5 minutes, you will have no suffering, especially mentally. From moment to moment, you can get rid of all kinds of suffering, forever. Before we sit in meditation, we need to reflect on death. Now, while we still have time, while we're still strong, while we're still healthy, we can practice meditation, and especially reflect on these 5 kinds of things we cannot be sure about. Eventually, even if you have your life, 108, just practice. Maybe your health is not good anymore and you can't practice meditation. But for now, everything is still fine. After you make this reflection on death, you'll have energy to practice meditation. So how many kinds of these guardian meditations are there? 4, right? You radiate your loving kindness, even briefly, for yourself first. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. And then, may all beings and may my family be well, happy, and peaceful. May all beings in this area, this city, this state, this country, this world, this universe, be well and happy, and so on. You may release your loving kindness to your parents, your teachers, your friends, your relatives, and to all people around you, to be well, happy, and peaceful. Then, contemplate the impurity of the body, otherwise you may attach to your body. Next, briefly recollect the virtues of the Buddha as our supreme teacher, who showed us the way to follow his footprints to be able to get rid of all kinds of mental defilement. And then, we should reflect on death, to give us energy to be industrious. After you contemplate these 4 kinds of supportive meditations, you have to get ready for sitting meditation, I would now like to talk about the requirements for meditators. There are 8 requirements that should be followed by meditators who really want to attain enlightenment in this very life. Namely, 1. Accomplishment of morals. 2. Control of the senses. 3. Not to be fond of busyness. 4. Not to be fond of gossip. 5. Not to be fond of sleeping. 6. Not to be fond of society. 7. Moderation in eating. And 8. Seclusion. First, meditators have to observe at least 5 precepts perfectly to have accomplishment of morals. These 5 precepts are abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and taking fermented liquors, drugs, intoxicants, and so on. If your moral conduct is not pure, or if it's incomplete, you cannot expect to attain any stage of enlightenment, because morality is the foundation of concentration and wisdom. Without accomplishment, it is not possible for concentration and insight to arise. By violating any of these precepts, you will have a guilty conscience whenever you think about it. That's why these 5 precepts should be observed firmly, forever. 109. The collected teachings of Luang Por Chaya. In meditation retreats, meditators are required to observe 8 precepts for the sake of reducing sensual desire and having more time to practice meditation. The 8 precepts are 1. Abstaining from killing. 2. Abstaining from stealing. 3. Abstaining from all kinds of sexual conduct. 4. Abstaining from lying. 5. Abstaining from taking intoxicants. 6. Abstaining from taking food at an improper time, afternoon until dawn of the next day. 7. Abstaining from dancing, singing, music, going to shows, wearing garlands, beautifying oneself with perfume and cosmetics. And 8. Abstaining from. Second, we need to control the senses. This means you need to restrain your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Whatever object appears to your 6 senses, you should not allow attachment and anger and so forth to arise. In a meditation retreat, you should act like a blind, deaf, dumb, and dead person by means of controlling your senses. Whatever you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and think, don't give a chance for attachment, hatred, and delusion to arise. Now, how to control the eyes. Ordinary people usually like to watch TV, movies, shows, boxing, and the like. They even spend large amounts of money on these things. When they are seeing, looking at pleasant places and objects, craving may occur. Or while seeing or watching unpleasant objects, maybe hatred arises. Ordinary people may spend many hours of their time watching TV and so on, but meditators are not supposed to waste their time by watching TV and so on. Instead, meditators should practice meditation to improve their mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom if they wish to achieve their spiritual goal. Nowadays, most people enjoy watching TV because they are much concerned about the outside world. But pitifully, they forget to consider the inside world for their own benefit. In this context, inside means the internal bases, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. They don't realize that everything in their daily life, with regard to their internal bases, just causes attachment, hatred, ignorance, jealousy, agitation, frustration, and so on, to successively arise. Actually, such attachment and so on are the cause of suffering. For meditators, whatever pleasant or unpleasant objects appear to the eyes, just consider that they are impermanent. They just come and go. And while practicing meditation, when you see something, just be mindful of the seeing, then make a mental note as seeing, seeing, seeing. In this way, there will be no room for attachment, hatred, or 110. Just practice ignorance to arise. This means you control your eyes by means of reason and insight. And how to control the ears. Common people like to hear beautiful songs, music, or a beloved one's voice, but they dislike hearing disagreeable voices or sounds. According to Abhidhamma, the Buddhist philosophy, liking and disliking are craving and anger respectively. Therefore, for meditators, when you happen to hear a song, some noise, you should not like or dislike it. Each occurrence will not last long. It is impermanent, so just note it as hearing, hearing, hearing. Then there will be no craving or hatred with regard to what you're hearing. It is human nature that we cannot keep ourselves away from society. It is necessary to deal with the outside world and with others. Accordingly, we have to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to touch, and to think about so many things in the course of our daily lives. Seeing and so on are in evidence, but don't let yourself be a slave of mental defilements. Being mindful and contemplating these objects is absolutely essential. How to control the nose. When you happen to smell something from someone's spouse who is using perfume, maybe you like it, or maybe you don't. If you feel that you like it, that means greed has arisen. If you dislike it, that means in that moment, anger has arisen. In the same way, when you get some smell from the kitchen, depending on whether liking or disliking is there, for most people greed or hatred will usually arise. In order for meditators to prohibit greed and hatred, we should consider that the arising of smell is impermanent. It does not last long. Or we can use a meditation technique. Just be mindful of it and note it as smelling, smelling, smelling. Greed and anger will not arise. How to control the tongue. Whenever you eat or drink anything, just consider that everything that you take into your mouth becomes disgusting at once. Or, keeping your mindfulness on your eating, say to yourself, chewing, 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 then swallowing, swallowing, swallowing. Then no attachment or anger will arise with regard to eating and drinking. As for how to control the body, whenever any kind of tangible object, such as clothes, a chair, a bed, a sofa, a car, and so on, is touched by your body, don't give a chance for greed or hatred to arise. The impurity of our body and the impermanence of all material things should be contemplated. Whenever things come to your touch, just note it as touching, touching, touching. Don't consider it as beautiful or ugly, soft or hard. By considering and contemplating touching in this way, greed and anger will not arise. 111. The Collected Teachings of Luang Porchaya. How to control the mind. Without practicing meditation, the mind has the tendency to wander. That is its nature. Sometimes you may think about something you have experienced before. Just make a note. Thinking, thinking, thinking. When you reflect on good things that you have experienced, you might smile. In that moment, greed will have arisen. On the other hand, when you reflect on bad things you have experienced, you may cry or take a deep breath with emotion. In that moment, anger has arisen, and someone may think about something they have lost recently, maybe their business, power, position, or beloved ones. They might be greatly disappointed and depressed, and then maybe even take poison and commit suicide. We should control or tame our mind by practicing meditation. This is the best way to overcome all kinds of mental defilement and suffering. Third, meditators should not be fond of busyness. This means that when you are on a meditation retreat, you are not supposed to do this or do that, such as preparing food, gardening, making decorations, watering plants, and so on. Even if you are at home, it means refraining from such things as playing games, watching TV, spending time on the internet, making decorations, enjoying cooking, and so on. Fourth, meditators should not be fond of gossip. This means talking too much about politics, war, movies, family, and so forth. In other words, talking about what is not at all related to morality, concentration, and wisdom. Sometimes you might like to talk with your friends for a few hours, which is useless. And some people talk tirelessly even while doing something else, such as cooking. They like to have someone near them to talk to all the time. And if no one is around, they may pick up the telephone and call someone to talk. Actually, enjoying oneself by talking is a great danger to the progress of insight. Therefore, it should not be done by meditators. Fifth, We should not be fond of sleeping. We sleep more than enough in our lives. When we were a baby, we might have slept about 20 hours a day. Normally, people sleep 8 hours a day. Some sleep more than that. Meditators, though, should not sleep more than 6 hours a day, and in a meditation retreat, 4 hours of sleeping or resting is sufficient. Enjoying sleeping more than 8 hours a day is not the way for meditators. We spend so much time in our lives sleeping and get nothing from it. And because we enjoy sleeping too much, we have to be reborn and die again and again in this world. 2. Just practice 6th. We should not be fond of society, such as going to parties a lot, enjoying time with friends, and going to concerts, the cinema, a show, a casino, restaurants, nightclubs, the zoo, to the park for picnics, and making various excursions to places. When you do these things, you're wasting a lot of time, instead of engaging in spiritual development. Therefore, such kinds of actions should not be done by regular meditators. 7th, we should have moderation in eating. We usually eat 2 or 3 meals a day. Everyone depends on food. We cannot survive without food. But for regular meditators, especially in a meditation retreat, we should not eat as much as we can until our stomachs are full. Instead, we should stop about 4 or 5 lumps, or 4 or 5 spoonfuls, before we are full, and then fill the rest of our stomach with water. If you eat as much as you can, very soon you will feel uncomfortable or drowsy. You will not be able to concentrate your attention on the object of meditation. You will become a slave of sloth and torpor, or ignorance. You will not be able to make any progress at all in your mental development. That's why moderation in eating is required. And 8th, meditators should seek seclusion. This means you should devote your time to mental development. In the 24 hours of each day, regular meditators should practice sitting meditation at least twice a day, for not less than 1 hour each time. Meditators should also find time to practice silent retreats at least once a week. Once a month, you should use a day off to practice nothing but meditation. And once a year, you should use your vacation to devote your time to a meditation retreat of a week or a month. Following these 8 rules is indispensable for meditators who would really like to achieve spiritual liberation. I hope all of you will be able to fulfill these 8 requirements and achieve your goal in this life. Now I'd like to talk about preparing for meditation. Before you start sitting meditation, in order to motivate your energy, mindfulness, and concentration, you should reflect on those special virtues of the Buddha, the repulsiveness of the body, the inevitability of death, and radiate your loving kindness to yourself and all living beings. These are called the guardian meditations, the protection meditations, or the supportive meditations. Then, ask forgiveness from others, as well as forgive others and yourself. As this is a Buddhist culture, we hold our hands in a prayerful position and say, for so many previous existences up to now, if I have 113 the collected teachings of Luang Por Chaya done wrong to the Buddha, to the Dhamma, to the Sangha, to my parents, teachers, elders, or to the noble ones, by deed, speech, or thought, may all forgive me. I freely forgive anyone who may have hurt or insulted me. Also, I freely forgive myself. After you ask forgiveness from others, and forgive others and yourself, you are totally free from a guilty conscience and gain purity of mind. Then you'll be able to focus your mind on the objects of meditation. Accordingly, you will come to realize the nature of mind and matter as they truly are. According to the suggestions of old masters of Buddhist tradition, before sitting meditation, we should entrust ourselves to the Buddha by saying, during this training period of meditation, may I entrust my body and mind, all my life, to the Lord Buddha. Then, during sitting meditation, you will not be afraid of any frightful visions that may occur to your state of mind. You have encouraged yourself that your body has already been offered to the Buddha. So I'm a son or a daughter of him. That's why no one can harm me at all. Sometimes while sitting in meditation, you may face intense, painful feelings, and you may get disappointed and wish to quit your meditation at once. Or sensual desire or anger may come and disturb your concentration. In such cases, you should consider that you are a son or daughter, a follower of the Buddha. I must be patient and persevere through these painful feelings, and my mind should be pure. One with impurity of mind does not deserve to be a follower of the Supreme Enlightened One. It's not good for your meditation either. Reflecting thus, your mind will become calm, serene, tranquil, and happy. Therefore, entrusting yourselves to the Enlightened One is greatly suggested. From now on, I would like to talk briefly about how to practice sitting meditation. First, you need to have a suitable place. Suppose you may not find a quiet place at home, but try to find a quiet time, perhaps when others are sleeping or going out. To begin your meditation, sit down and put one leg in front of the other without interlocking. You may feel more comfortable by using this type of sitting position. Put your right hand on your left hand and place them on your lap, or place one hand on the top of each knee. Whatever 114 just practice kind of position you sit in, the important thing is to keep your upper body erect. Don't sit leaning against a wall or other support. Breathing must be normal. Don't make it quick or deep. If you do so, you will get tired very soon. Just relax the mind and body as much as possible. Then, close your eyes and focus your mind on your nostrils. As an example, most meditators focus their mind on either breathing in and breathing out, or on the rising and falling movements of the abdomen as their primary object. Whatever method you are practicing, if it's consistent with the 4 foundations of mindfulness, it is correct, because the Buddha taught this. These 4 foundations of mindfulness are the only way for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the cessation of pain and distress, for the attainment of supramundane knowledge, and for the realization of nibbana. What kind of technique should you follow? If it's the right technique, you will reach your destination. It's like you coming to Chaya Meditation Monastery. Whether you came from the east or the west, either way was fine because you eventually reached the monastery. In the same way, either way of right technique that you practice will lead you to achieve your spiritual goal. You can try either one of these techniques, the nostrils or the abdomen. Use whichever you think is more comfortable and easiest to gain concentration. If you take breathing in and breathing out as your primary object, be mindful of your breath. You may feel the sensation of the air at your nostrils. Try to see the in-breath and the out-breath as 2 separate things, not just the same breath going in and out. When you inhale, make a mental note, breathing in. While you exhale, make a mental note, breathing out. If you feel that focusing your mind on the nostrils feels difficult or unclear, you should instead keep your mind on the abdomen and be mindful of the rising and falling movement there. When you breathe in, your abdomen will rise upward. Be mindful of the rising from the beginning to the end by making a mental note, rising. When you exhale, your abdomen will fall downward, as is its nature. Be mindful of the falling from the beginning to the end by making a mental note, falling. During your sitting meditation, you should not think about something in the past, what you have experienced, or think about something in the future. You should not expect to experience something 115, the collected teachings of Luang Por Chaya strange, to see spiritual visions or whatever. You should really focus on the present object only. The rising and falling of your abdomen and the noting mind should be arising together simultaneously. If you feel painful feelings in any part of your body, be aware of it. Focus on the place of the pain and make a mental note. Pain, 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 pain. You have to be patient and mindful of it. Pain is a very good and strong object for a meditator. Stay with it as long as you can. Try to see it as just pain. Don't identify with the pain. If you cannot bear the pain any longer, just ignore it and go back to the rising and falling of your abdomen. Or you may move and change your position to ease the pain. But note the intention to change position. Be mindful of every movement involved. Then go back to your main object. However hard you try to keep your mind on your primary object, your mind may go wandering in accordance with its nature. If you realize that your mind has gone out, just say to yourself, going out, going out, going out. If you plan to do something in the future, just make a mental note. Planning. Planning. If you talk to someone in your thoughts, just make a mental note. Talking, talking, talking. If you remember something in the past, just make a mental note. Remembering, remembering, remembering. If you think about something, just make a mental note. Thinking, thinking, thinking. If you attach to something in your thoughts, just make a mental note. Attachment, attachment. If you get angry with someone in your thoughts, just make a mental note. Anger, anger, anger. When you feel happy, this must be observed as it is. Make a mental note. Happy, happy, happy. If you feel unhappy or sad, you must observe it as it really is. Make a mental note. Sad, 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 sad. You should be careful with your noting. Your noting mind must be energetic and precise, and quick, not slow. Basically, whatever mental and physical activities appear in the present moment should be noted. Be mindful of them by constant noting. Uninterrupted mindfulness will give rise to deep concentration, which will in time give rise to wisdom. You will see the end of arising and disappearing, and the end of suffering. May all of you be able to practice this insight vipassana meditation, realize the Four Noble Truths, and at least become a stream enterer in the near future. 116.